What's up everybody, welcome back to another one of my videos, and in this video we're going over the schedule grid and some notable free agents for week 7, so a little bit of everything that you should know for week 7. So the first thing up, of course, is the schedule. So currently there's no postponed games for week 7, which is awesome news. Hopefully this trend continues and we don't have to worry about any of that bullshit any longer, because it really sucks and it takes a lot of fun out of the game when the games aren't being played. So anyway, there's only 8 teams playing 3 times this week, and they include Brooklyn, Denver, Golden State, the Lakers, Orlando, Philadelphia, San Antonio, and Toronto. The rest of the league, 22 teams, play 4 times this week. So we have Monday with 10 games, Wednesday with 10 games, and Saturday with 11 games. And they're all likely to be full roster days. If not, maybe you have like one available spot. But more than likely, it's going to be a full roster for you. So it's going to be very hard to do like a double down through this week, except for Thursday and Friday, which we'll get to in a second. So Friday will be close to a full roster day, which it's because there's 9 games. So don't be surprised if you do have a full roster on Friday. But also don't be surprised if you don't. If you have 1 or 2 available spots is the most likely scenario for most people with Friday. Tuesday only has 6 games and Thursday only has 5 games, but they finally have a decent amount of games on Tuesday and Thursday. The last 2 weeks, I don't know what the schedulers were thinking. It was pitiful. Like the schedulers should have been fired. That's how bad it's been. And then Sunday only has 5 games as well. So try and save one of your waiver wires for Sunday. You may need it, or maybe even 2 if you have if you could stream 2 guys. So anyway, the best time to double down will be Thursday to Friday if you're looking for back-to-back days. Next up, we have are the double downs. So teams that are playing back-to-backs on Monday and Tuesday are Detroit, Memphis, and Portland. The back-to-backs teams playing back-to-backs on Tuesday, Wednesday are Boston, Indiana, the Clippers, and Washington. The teams playing back-to-backs on Wednesday to Thursday are Atlanta, Dallas, Houston, and Philly. There's only one team playing back-to-back on Thursday and Friday, unfortunately, and it's Utah. It seems like it's always Utah. It seems like Utah has the best schedule in the league in terms of playing on the days where no one else is playing. So if you have a lot of Utah guys, good for you. All right, so I also put in, these aren't going to be consecutive days, but maybe you hold on to a guy for 3 days in a row, or instead of like a double down for 2 days in a row. So what I mean by that is the first one I have is Tuesday to Thursday. So teams playing Tuesday and Thursday include Golden State, Memphis, Portland, and Utah. So maybe you pick up one of those guys and play them for both days to try and stretch out, the value of your free agent pickup. And then the second of the non-consecutive day double down, I guess you could say, is Friday and Sunday. And the teams that are playing those days include Charlotte, Indiana, the Clippers, Phoenix, Boston, Miami, Utah, and Washington. All right, guys, please remember, hit the like button if you find this information valuable or informative, and make sure you hit the subscribe button, as I'm going to be bringing fantasy content all season long. All right, so now we're going to talk a little bit about the free agents. So I have free agents below 55% rostered on ESPN leagues, and they include DeAndre Jordan, who's only getting about 20 minutes a game, but since Jared Allen was traded out, he's been putting up solid numbers. So someone, if you need rebounds and don't care about free throws, good field goal percentage as well. He's a good pickup for a game or 2. Then we have Rui Hachimura, who's coming back from the COVID protocols, so it may take him a little bit of time if you're in for like the long haul. Maybe you pick him up and see if he can improve over the course of a week or 2. Next up we have is Kevin Love, who news is breaking that he's finally getting back into basketball activities. That may mean he's not going to be back for a week or 2, but if you're undefeated or if you're 4-1, 5-1, whatever the case may be, if you have a great team and you can wait on Kevin Love, why not pick him up and take a chance on him? Worst case scenario, you lose him, like you drop him because he sucks. Next up, I have is Jeremy Lamb, who's been killing it for the Pacers the last couple of games. Someone you should definitely keep an eye out on. I also have Kevin Huerter, who he's been up and down, but right now he's still getting the consistent 30 minutes a game, so he's worth a per game pickup, a streamer pickup. Next up, I have is Carmelo Anthony, who's seeing a lot of minutes now since CJ's hurt and since Nurk's hurt. Jay Crowder is next up on the list, and I feel like he's been benefiting the most with the Devin Booker injury. I picked him up for a couple games, and he's been killing it. I unfortunately had to drop him because just the way the schedule worked out, but if he's available for me next week and the stars align and I need a guy on days he's playing, I'll probably look to pick him up. Another one of my guys, Cole Anthony. I'm surprised he's only available. I mean, he's only rostered in about 16% of leagues, and I know his field goal percentage sucks, but for a point guard, he's been getting consistent blocks and he's hitting threes. That's really rare, extremely rare, especially for a point guard. Next up we have is Alec Burks, and I know he just came back from injury, but if you guys remember what he did at the beginning of the season, don't sleep on him. Keep him at least in your watch list. Pay attention to him. If you see some signs of life, go and get him because he could be a game changer. Next up I have is Patty Mills, who's still seeing a lot of minutes and performing at a pretty decent rate, so I'm putting him on the list. Next up we have is Thaddeus Young, who's been really playing well for the Bulls for the last few games. He actually had a double-double without points. He went 8, 11, 11 in his last game. So he could have had a triple-double. So, unfortunately, he's been picked up in my league, but if he's not picked up in yours, take a flyer on him. See what he can do for you. He's going to hurt you in the field goal percentage or free throw percentage a little bit. But other than that, he's still worth some kind of flyer. So next up on my list is Daniel Diaz. Now, I put him at 18% because I'm surprised he's still there. I randomly just picked him up. Well, I didn't randomly pick him up, but I just picked him up because I needed someone with a good field goal percentage and blocks. And he comes out against the Lakers and destroys it. I mean, he did a lot better than I thought he would. He went 14-6, once across the board. There was no zeros. And he had a last-second shot, which hurt him a little bit. But he was 5 of 10 before that last shot. And he hit 2 threes, too. He's quietly becoming a really, really nice player if you can pick him up still. Next up is Derek White, and I put him, his percentage as well, only 17%. He's back, guys. He killed it in his first game back. I didn't get to see it, but he had to have looked good last night. He shot the ball well, all facets, hit some threes, got some steals, nice amount of points, just all around great game. No one was expecting him to come out and give that type of performance on his first game back. So all of us Derek White owners, we have something to be excited about with him. And he's only rostered in 17% of leagues. That's got to go way, way, way up by this time next week. I don't want him on this list again. All right, next up we have is Emmanuel Quickley, he's been a nice rookie so far. He's going to be a little bit inconsistent, but right now, his last couple of games, he's been 20 plus points a game, like 24, 25 points a game, and like 3 assists, 3 rebounds, somewhere around there. So that's really good production for a free agent pickup. Next up we have is Gary Trent Jr., who's been getting a lot of time. He's been one of the main beneficiaries with CJ McCollum out. Definitely someone to keep an eye out on or pick up. Next up, Cody Zeller, who's been playing well as of late. I don't really have too much more to go on other than that, except that he's been getting good rebounds, and he's been surprisingly getting a decent amount of assists as well. You want to see more in the defensive categories, though. And then last up, I have Dwight Howard. I put in a little asterisk there. It's because Joel Embiid's been favoring his back. He's been questionable all week. I would know. I play against him, and I'm a Philadelphia 76ers fan, so this week has been pretty bad for me, rooting for and against him. Oh, it's been bad. But anyway, he's out tonight. He's sitting tonight, so we don't know where that's going to go, and Dwight Howard's going to get his minutes, so pick him up if he's available. As we don't know how many games Joel Embiid's going to miss for this upcoming week while he deals with his injuries. All right, so now we're going to talk about some of the double down players. So Monday to Tuesday, we have on the list Derrick Rose, Wayne Ellington, Josh Jackson, Dylan Brooks, Carmelo Anthony, and Gary Trent Jr. Of this list, I really like Derrick Rose and Gary Trent Jr. if you're trying to get high production. But the rest, it depends on what you might need. Like Dylan Brooks will give you a good source of threes. Josh Jackson gives you a weird set like source of blocks somehow. Like he'll go 3 or 4 games and get you 2 or 3 blocks in every single one of those games, and then just fall completely off and not give you anything in terms of any kind of production. But lately he's been playing well. That's why I have him on the list. So anyway, Tuesday, Wednesday we have Diaz again. Guys, look him up, pick him up. If he's going to play like he did against the Lakers, you definitely want him on your team. Jeremy Lamb, who's been killing it, great source of production for the Pacers. Justin Holiday, Ivica Zubac, good source for good field goal percentage and rebounds, and maybe he'll get you a block. And then Reggie Jackson has been playing well these last few games as well, so someone to keep an eye out on if you don't want to pick him up at least. So Wednesday and Thursday, we have Kevin Huerter, who's been getting the 30-plus minutes a game still. Cam Reddish, I put him on the list just because he's been playing pretty well for this season, so maybe you want to double down on him, especially if Huerter and the next player up, which is Danilo Gallinari, are not available. And speaking of Gallinari, he's came back from injury. He hasn't been playing well at all. I put him on my team. Didn't like what I was saying. I was getting a little bit of points, but nothing. Zeros across the board everywhere else, basically. Didn't like it. Didn't want it. Got rid of him. He's already been picked up again in my league. Next up is Jalen Brunson, who was on a bit of a hot streak. He's cooled down a little bit since, but something to keep an eye out on. James Johnson is next on the list, who can give you some good stocks. So he could give you a good source of production if you play him in back-to-back games. And he's been getting the minutes recently, averaging 25 minutes a game over the last week or so. Next up, we have Shake Milton, who might get more touches now. Now, I know this is Wednesday and Thursday, but we don't know about Joel Embiid. And if Joel Embiid is sitting in either one of these games, likelihood he will sit in one of these games since it's a back-to-back. And now, Joel Embiid doesn't sit in every back-to-back, but this one he may because he's been pretty banged up. Anyway, Shake Milton, he may get a lot more usage in these games, at least one of them. So if he could put up decent numbers on the game Joel does play, and then he's going to get an extra usage in the game he doesn't, he's a safe pick. Well, I shouldn't say safe pickup, but he is a pickup that you may want to highly consider for the Wednesday to Thursday for a good source of production, especially if you don't have any other options. And then last up is Danny Green. Again, there's going to be, if Joel Embiid misses one of the 2 games on Wednesday or Thursday, there's going to be extra shots coming around. I think it'll go more towards Milton, but when Ben drives or Milton drives, Danny Green may get the kick out, and he may get extra 3-point attempts. All right, so for the important one for the week is Thursday to Friday, which is the time of the week where it's most likely your only shot to get a double down, as you should have. There's only 6 games Thursday, I believe it was. Maybe there's 5, but I think it was 6 games Thursday and only 9 on Friday. So you should have an available spot or 2 for both these days. So the 2 players I'm going to talk about, both on Utah, because that's the team that's doing the back-to-back. It's Royce O'Neal, he had a great game today, and Bojan Bogdanovic, who also had a very good game if you need points, threes, etc. All right, so now I'm doing some double downs for non-consecutive days. So first up we have is Tuesday and Thursday. We have Dylan Brooks, and you're going to see a lot of these names like over and over again. It's just the way it turned out. So Dylan Brooks, Carmelo Anthony, Gary Trent Jr., Royce O'Neal, and Bogdanovic. And then for Friday to Sunday, we have Miles Bridges, who's been playing well for a second year. He's been getting about 25 minutes a game. Very good production. Cody Zeller, who we talked about, Jeremy Lamb, who we've talked about, Justin Holiday, Zubac, Reggie Jackson, Jay Crowder, who's been a beneficiary with Booker being out. So that may change. And if that does change by this time, if Booker does come back by Friday, I don't think he will. But if he does come back, take Jay Crowder out. Don't worry about him. He's not going to do as much. He's not going to get the usage that he would have with Booker sidelined. Diaz will be available. Well, not available, but he'll be an available option, I guess. or a possible available option, and then again Royce O'Neal and Bogdanovic to round this out. All right, guys. So remember, please hit the like button if you found this information informative, and make sure you subscribe to my channel, as I'm going to be dropping more fantasy basketball content all season long. Thank you for everyone who watches my content and enjoys it. I appreciate it, and I hope everyone has a good day. And I'll see you guys in the next video.